Join Regina for an afternoon tea party complete with mock chicken salad sandwiches prepared with homemade mayonnaise. No tea party would be complete without sweets, so Regina's guest prepares luscious chai scones. Refreshing mint tea is the perfect complement for Regina's tea party, and David Berkeley takes a look at sherry, a classic complement to afternoon sweets.
Today's program is in honor of the growing trend of tea consumption in the country. In fact, a lot of times when you go into the most popular coffee chains, you'll find almost an overwhelming selections of teas available too now, including the ever-popular chai and chai lattes. We're going to be making a really special dish using a chai base a little later in the program with our special guest, Robert Wimishner, who has been with us before. We had so much fun, we invited him back again. And then we're going to be making some finger sandwiches because afternoon teas are also coming back in vogue. And in the place of the standard chicken salad, tuna salad, and ham salad, we're going to be doing a mock chicken salad using a smoked tofu in the place of the meats. It's a fabulous salad. And then we have another guest coming in just a moment. In fact, right now, Julie Hawkins. Julie's someone you don't usually see on the program, but she helps me out a lot behind the scenes. A lot of times we brainstorm, come up with recipes, and she'll help me develop some of them. And I invited her here today to teach us how to make our own mayonnaise. The reason for that is I don't think there are any of those little sandwiches I mentioned that don't require the use of mayonnaise, right?
I think so.
And I don't like using bottled mayonnaise for it, not because of the fat. I mean, I don't mind a little bit of fat in the diet, you know. I've said that many times before. But I don't like to use fats with hydrogenated oils, which is what you get.
And we're using organic oil here.
We're using an organic oil. It doesn't go through the hydrogenation process that you have from bottled mayonnaises, so we're doing a more healthful version of mayonnaise. The only thing is, it is perishable, so you make it, and then you really need to use it within a few days. Yes. What would you say maximum?
About 4 days. I would say 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
And keep it well chilled.
Okay.
Always.
Yes. Well chilled, because this does rely on the use of raw egg yolks. So this is something you have to make your own decisions. Personally, I made smoothies for years before the salmonella issue came up with raw egg yolks and raw eggs. And you could say I've been playing Russian roulette. I've always been lucky, but it's really not as big an issue as it's made to seem when you do have a salmonella outbreak somewhere. So that doesn't happen very often with eggs to begin with, but we're going to go ahead and use the real ingredients.
And we're putting a little acid in it with lemon juice, or you can use a little vinegar too, and that inhibits the growth of bacteria.
Very true. And it's really a very simple list of ingredients, and it's much more the process and how you add the oils and the eggs and the kind of blade you use, whether you whisk it. And you say that the most foolproof method is to use
a food processor.
Food processor. So how do we begin?
Ahead?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to use 2 egg yolks, 1 whole egg, a little bit of mustard, a Dijon type or something like a spicy mustard gives it a nice little zip, and some lemon juice.
And this is the base you'll find in virtually every mayonnaise. And if you want to customize it, you can put all sorts of exotic herbs and spices in it. But we want to start with just something basic, and we don't want to add, as you can see, when you're adding you say, oh, this just requires mayonnaise as the primary seasoning ingredient. Well, with mayonnaise, you have a lot of flavors going on here, so it doesn't really need more than that.
We want to blend the egg yolk really well before we start adding the oil so that it's really ready to start absorbing the oil. This is probably the most tricky part.
So what do you want to look for here?
I want to look for everything to be really combined well here.
So you don't want to see little clumps sticking around the side of the
Right, okay.
It's looking pretty good, huh?
It's looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead. We're going to start very slowly, just a tiny, by little droplets initially. You don't want to stop the food processor during this part of the making. You want it to keep going until you see that it's starting to thicken. And a ratio that you want to remember is not more than 2/3 cup oil per egg yolk. That's about all the oil that an egg yolk can absorb. There it goes. And you can also make this if you want a little stronger flavor with olive oil and add all kinds of herbs and garlic.
Which, the reason we're not doing that today is because we don't want the taste of the mayonnaise to overwhelm these delicate little finger sandwiches.
Okay.
Oh, it's looking good.
I think we're just about ready. I think we could turn it off now. Want to do that?
So do we add the salt now?
I think we can add the salt. It looks pretty good, I think.
Just tell me what you think.
It tends to be pretty bland.
Yeah.
You don't want to add, you don't want to undersalt it.
We could do something like measure, but
Oh, no.
why start now? Okay. This is a little bit more yellow because of the egg yolks. Would you like to taste it?
Sure.
See if it's the way you want it. All right. Okay, that's good enough for me. Julie, thank you so much. I'm going to whisk some of this stuff away and then we'll begin putting the sandwiches together. This we can put in a little bowl here. This is going to be good. And now we're going to put together the mock chicken salad. And as I explained earlier, the base of this salad is baked tofu. The good thing is there are many varieties available now, all sorts of flavors. In this one, you can use pretty much whatever you have on hand. I'm choosing a hickory smoked tofu because that happens to be a favorite of mine, but I've also made it with teriyaki baked tofu. And it adds just a subtle spicing to it that's really not particularly oriental in flavor once you get the other ingredients in with it. It's very simple to put together. You just take it and chop it into small sections, just as you would if you were using, say, a chicken salad or a ham salad. And then I like to put crunchies in it, a lot of crunchies, and I'm partial to olives as well. So putting together about a cup of baked tofu, and looks like about 1/3 of a cup of celery, and 3 or 4 tablespoons of roasted and salted cashews, and then again about the same amount, 3 to 4 tablespoons of sliced black olives, same thing, of little Spanish green olives. We left the pimento in there for color and also for a little bit of flavor. And then, this isn't an exact science, you can put as much or as little as you like in here. We're using this fresh mayonnaise. This is lovely. And the nice thing about using these mayonnaise is, again, if you want to make an herbal variety of this, just throw a handful of fresh herbs in there. When we were traveling on the East Coast last year, one of our chefs, Alain Burrell, made a fresh sorrel version of it. It was really lovely. It had a nice astringent flavor and a green color. And I'll put a little bit more, just to make sure it's nice and moist. And then you treat it the same as you would any other little finger sandwich. Traditionally, these little finger sandwiches are made with white bread, but I like to put a little more nutritional value in it by getting a good whole wheat bread, or in this case we have a nice 3-seed bread. Here it has sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, poppy seeds in it. Adds a little extra texture, a little more flavor, and a little more health value. And now in just a moment, you can't have a tea party without sweets, and we have our special guest, Robert Wimishner, coming in, and he has some wonderful sweet delights for us today. Robert Wimishner joins us now. We call him the Tea Man, and for good reason. That is your territory, tea.
Absolutely.
In fact, you've spent a lot of time putting this together, and this is actually coming out any day now, called Cooking with Tea. It's going to be a beautiful book. We don't know exactly what it's going to be like because we have one of the earlier editions.
So early, there's nothing in it, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to give you an idea of what the cover will look like because you'll be able to find it in the bookstore very shortly now. And you have a myriad of tea recipes in there, everything from entrees to beverages to desserts and appetizers with tea. And today,
Exactly.
we're focusing on desserts.
That's right.
And we're using chai, a lot of chai in this.
Chai is a very popular flavor. People find chai an easy entry point to learning about tea, since it has all kinds of wonderful sweet spices. It has an exotic allure, and we're going to make scones flavored with chai.
Let's talk about some of these little chai concentrates you have here, because I notice even when you go to get a latte these days at a coffee chain or an individual owner-operated coffee shop, a lot of them now have chai on the menu, and I think they're using these concentrates. I doubt anybody's back there making it from scratch. with all
Right.
the
I mean,
herbs
in
and-
India, people have
spices.
all their own versions of chai. There are
Yeah.
thousands of versions, but in this country, it makes it easy if you have a concentrate. So you've got black tea, you've got spices, and some of them have sweetening, some not, and they're ready to use in a drink or in a prepared dish.
And we're going to show you how to make your own chai in a moment.
Right.
But just need to know that there are concentrates out there if you want to do it that way, and it just kind of depends on what your flavors, your favorite flavor combinations are, because you can pump it up a little on the cinnamon or the cardamom or whatever it is you prefer.
And if you're looking to
make your
save
own.
time, then you go with the concentrate.
This is the way to go. And wasn't it yogi tea that kind of started?
It did, yes. This goes back so many years ago, it seems,
Yeah.
and now it's coming into its own.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so what are we making first? We're making the scones?
Right, we're going to do a scone, which is basically a rich biscuit mix.
I'll get you a big mixing bowl.
Great,
Are you going to make
terrific.
the chai first from scratch or a little bit later?
Actually, we can do that first. We can do that first.
While you're doing that, I'll go find a bowl.
All right, so what we're going to be doing here is using some cloves, whole peppercorns, cardamom, beautiful green cardamom, cinnamon stick, and then I'm going to use some black tea. This happens to be Indian tea. You can see it's a very fine black fermented tea from the area of India called Assam. And then we will add some water to it, and we will bring this to a boil and then simmer it to bring all the flavors out. And we will then cool it and then use it in our chai scone dough. This has to simmer for 10-15 minutes. This is the chai concentrate that we're making, in which we've put water and all the spices.
It smells wonderful.
Can you smell it?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
And I've rustled up a mixing bowl for you now, so you can do this. Put this up here. So why tea in the biscuits anyway? I mean, what's the motivation here?
Well, tea has a flavor of its own, really, and I feel that this gives a really nice richness of flavor, beautiful color, and some health benefits too. As you know, tea of all kinds have been shown to have antioxidant properties, and this is something that people are concerned about. And why not make something that's healthy also delicious, or something delicious healthy?
And also with chai, you're getting all of your cinnamon and spices in just boom like that in the concentrate.
It's all there.
You don't have to measure it out too.
That's right. It's all
okay,
there.
what happens now?
So now what we're going to do is we're going to, in classic biscuit technique, we're going to have our dry ingredients together, which will be flour, baking powder, some dry spices.
If this looks like it's going in fast, don't worry about it. You can catch the recipe on the website.
A little bit of salt. I know this is that strong salt, so we want to be careful. And then we've got some brown sugar, and then our butter, which we pre-cut up. And I always use sweet, unsalted butter, which gives a wonderful flavor. We're going to mix lightly, and then I love to get my hands into this. So that's what I'm going to do next. And we're going to get a nice, flaky, kind of tender biscuit out of this. We're not going to overmix. We're just going to break the butter down. And you can do this with a machine if you'd like, but I think that it's just fun.
Is your son of age to start baking with you now?
He loves to bake. He absolutely loves to bake. And my daughter doesn't. She likes to eat. So we're going to break this down a little more and make it into kind of flakes, and you can kind of use this movement of your hands to
That's
create.
my favorite.
I love that. I think that the feeling of flour and fat in the hands is great. And look, I even get it all for myself. So we're going to, once we've broken this down enough, then we're going to add the liquids that hold it together. And the liquid is going to be that chai concentrate, either your own homemade version or something you've bought.
Now this is an 8-ounce portion. Looks like 1 cup.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is add our chai concentrate along with wonderful heavy cream. Of course,
that's what gives it that nice, rich
flavor.
biscuity.
Some egg yolks, and then we can stir and bring it together, and we're going to turn it into a nice round disc of dough that will then be baked. So we've got our dough, and now we're just going to lightly knead it, bring it together.
What did you want the oven at?
375.
Okay, it's done already.
Great. And this is just about together. Bring in all those loose ends. And then what we'll do is, just to give the top a nice shine and a deep brown, we're going to brush with a mixture of egg yolk and a little bit of cream. I'm going to sprinkle the top of the scones dough with some of this nice demerara sugar, which is a coarse brown sugar, and then a little bit of cinnamon sugar on top. And then it's going to be segmented into however many portions we want.
These will be wonderful.
And we'll put them right into the oven.
Very good.
Are we ready to go?
Okay, yeah. And what, about 12 minutes?
Yeah, about 15 to 20 minutes perhaps. I like them real crisp and brown.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll clean this mess up, and then we're on to recipe number 2. What's coming up? A lemon?
Lemon tart. Tea and lemon tart. Yes. I call it awesome, awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I already stuck my finger in the lemon curd back there. It is awesome. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
And the chai scones are coming out now, and oh, they smell wonderful. And they look beautiful. Yum. Okay, well, We'll let these cool just a little bit, but we want to get going on our next recipe.
Okay.
So we can scrunch everything in today, and we have this lovely lemon tart coming up. So why don't you go ahead and walk us through the process, and I'm going to get out of your way because there's not much I can do for you over here, okay?
Okay. I'm going to take some freshly squeezed lemon juice and then some of the black tea, which is the Assam tea from India, and we're going to infuse the tea into the lemon juice, simmering just for a short time to get the flavor and color out of the tea. And then what we'll do is use that as the base for our lemon curd filling that will be the inside of our tart. Now I'm just going to grab a bowl and a sieve, and we're going to work with this. And what you should do is press hard on the tea to bring as much flavor out, color and flavor. All right, I think we're just about there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine this brewed tea and lemon juice mixture with the other ingredients for the lemon curd. So we've got whole eggs, egg yolks, we've got some sugar and some freshly grated lemon peel and some butter, always sweet butter again. And what we will do is mix all these ingredients and cook over a fairly high heat, setting the bowl over a water bath so that we're not actually in direct contact with the heat. And this will cook for about 10 minutes or so until it's thickened. And then we let it cool. And then we taste it and see how much we like it.
And it looks like it's finally thickening up there, Robert.
Yes, it's really looking good. It's somewhat that same thickness as the mayonnaise that you made earlier, actually. It's an emulsified sauce, really, but it's actually going to be used as a filling. So we're going to take it off the stove. We've pretty much got it where we want it. As it cools, of course, it will thicken some more, but you can see it's coating the spoon really nicely now. And at this point, I will take it off the heat, and we're going to set it aside for just a brief time, but we would pour it into a pre-baked tart shell.
You've got the curd, and I've got the finished product here. This is just lovely. And you can see as we shake this thickens up really nicely, and we have a very delicate buttery crust on the outside.
That's right.
It looks like.
Exactly.
And then you have some pistachios for garnish, right?
Good color contrast.
Okay,
and
then
crunch.
what? No, are you going to put anything else on this before serving, or
we
leave
would
it
leave it
as
as is, just plain. We have that along with wonderful tea that we're going to be drinking. Any maybe from India or China.
Right, and
Sets it off well.
I tasted this a little bit earlier, and what's so wonderful about this particular lemon curd is it's not overly sweet. It's a really good balance of flavors without basically making you feel treacly inside the mouth. Right. So next we're going to be focusing on the conserves you made, okay?
That's right.
Okay, we've cooled them off a little bit, and these are beautiful fluffy scones. Do we have one here that we can show?
Yeah, I'm sure that we got one.
Look at that. Nice and light and fluffy, and we are going to adorn them with, please explain to us what we've done here.
Yes, this is actually a peach conserve that has been flavored with Darjeeling tea and ginger. So it's not too sweet, but a really nice accompaniment, and you might even have some clotted cream or cultured cream to go with it if you really wanted to gild the lily.
Yeah, I tasted this. Well, I wander around behind you like this and spooning everything and tasting it all. Everything is absolutely
Make sure it's
fabulous.
all fit for consumption.
It is fit for consumption, and we're going to do one final little summery tea drink. I like to use green teas. Sometimes I'll use a toasted green tea, or you can use a plain everyday green tea.
Right.
And we're going to make it convenient. We're using tea bags and fresh mint. We'll put that together in just a moment. So let me slide this off and get some water boiling, and we'll put some summer tea together for you. In today's Healthful Libation segment, we're doing one of my very favorite teas. You must do this a lot in the
I love
summertime
it.
as
I love
well.
it.
A really basic minted tea with honey, although the twist on is we're using green tea instead of a standard black tea, and it has a little bit smoother flavor. You can also go with a roasted tea if you like, right?
Right,
It
the
doesn't have
roasted
to
green
be.
even?
Yeah,
Right,
and this is
sure.
just a standard green tea, and we have a little rig set up here. I was concerned that we might shatter the glass, and you always have to, if you haven't done it before in any particular glass vase, you do need to be careful because boiling water can shatter some glasses. But I was told by our producer Lori Lane that she read if you put a metal spoon in there, it will attract the heat and it'll keep the vase from breaking. So since it's Lori's vase, I'm game. We'll give it a try. And so we want to fill it about halfway with hot water. And then we're going to dangle some tea bags in there. Hopefully they'll stretch all the way down there. And because this is a fairly tall vase, I rigged this little thing up to dangle. And then we're going to dangle some tea bags in here because this is a rather deep pitcher. And then let it steep for just a few minutes. But what I do is early on I like to add the mint so the heat has a chance to extract all of the oils out of the mint and really infuse it well. And then the honey, I also add the honey while it's still hot. Although we're getting a veritable garden in there, I don't know that we have any room for the honey. Let's see, can we do this? Let it start melting down? What do you think,
Sure,
Robert? Can
I
I
think
just
that's
pour it
gonna
right
be
in on
fine.
top?
Sure, that's going to melt right in.
There we go, there we go.
Oh, looks so good.
Oh,
It
it's
smells
so-
wonderful. It
it's
smells like
so
summer.
refreshing.
Absolutely like summer.
So you put the honey in, just let it melt down. At this point, I leave it alone, and I'll generally leave the tea bags in there for even 15 or 20 minutes, and it doesn't really get too strong because it's totally overwhelmed by the flavor of the mint. Come back, we're going to take the bags out, stir up the honey a little bit, and then we'll leave the mint in there. And again, the wonderful thing about this drink is not only do you have something that is really refreshing, but as you know, and you could go on about, and you do go on about in your book, is there are many healthful properties of drinking green tea, including the antioxidants, and also other very well-known healing agents that have been used for millennia in the Asian cultures. So that's our healthful libation for today. And as Robert puts the finishing touches on the scone, this is fabulous, by the way, with the use of ginger in there. Really like it, not overly sweet either. We're going to go to David Berkeley and find out what he would serve for an afternoon tea.
What goes with an afternoon tea? Other than tea, of course. Well, I think it depends on what decade or what century you're serving the tea in. Because you see, there was a time when it was the custom to serve a couple of glasses of sherry with a piece of cake either mid-morning or late afternoon to help sustain you until the next meal. Or maybe as a part of your odd-hour hospitality, sort of the tea time. Now those wines, those sherries, they're part of, well, they're forgotten. They're from a time past. Now, the wines themselves as sherries, they can be pale as to be almost colorless. They can be dry as to be almost lemon tart. They can be black as raisins and sweet as molasses. Now, I would suggest that you try the fino or manzanilla with maybe the finger sandwiches such as cucumber or that mock chicken. The Amontillado, the sort of pale, dry, medium sweet sherry, goes great with nuts. It would also go great with soups, I might add. And the classic cream sherry, well, perfect with a piece of almond cake. Now, these sherries have been sort of forgotten, but they are the tea time wine, and I think they're worth rediscovering.
Well, Robert, I want to thank you once again for joining us.
Thank
It's
you,
always
Regina.
a pleasure for me, and I'm amazed at the amount of wonderful creations you can come up with using tea. So, until next time, and I'm sure there will be a next time, Santé.
Santé.
To find out more about Regina's Vegetarian Table, visit our PBS website at pbs.org.